Hey everyone, welcome back to IT Samurai Teacher. My name is Shihab Abdul. In our previous video, we laid the groundwork for our Azure journey by creating a resource group. Today, we are taking a big step forward, designing our own private network in Azure called a virtual network or VNet. This VNet will be the backbone of our cloud infrastructure, connecting all our resources securely. Before we dive in, let's quickly recap the resource group. They are essentially containers that help us organize related Azure resources. In our first video, we created a resource group for our servers built for our small business environment. Today, I will establish a new resource group for our virtual network. So what is virtual network? VNet is. Think of a virtual network as your own private network within Azure's cloud. It's like having your own office network, but instead of physical cables and devices, it exists virtually in the cloud. This VNet will allow our virtual machines, databases, web apps, any other Azure resources to communicate securely and privately. Now let's get into the exciting part. Planning the layout of our network. We'll start by defining the IP address range for our VNet. Now IP address range for small business, a single VNet with /16 address space. Example, 10.0.0.0/16 is usually sufficient. This provide us with 65,536 possible IP addresses, which should be plenty for more small business scenarios. The next section is subnets. So within our VNet, we'll create a smaller networks called subnets. These subnets help us further organize our resources and apply different security controls to different types of resources. Here's how we'll divide our network. This subnet 1 backend 10.0.1.0/24. So this subnet will be home to our servers, databases, and any other resources that should not be directly accessible from the internet. Think of this as the back office of our network. And next, subnet 2 front end 10.0.2.0/24. This subnet will house our web servers like application gateways and any resources that needs to be publicly accessible. This is the front door to our online presence. The third one, subnet 3 DMZ 10.0.3.0/24. A DMZ or demilitarized zone is a buffer zone between the internet and our internal network. We'll place less sensitive resources here that needs some exposure to the internet but require additional security measures. Our next step is the step 2, creating the virtual network. Step 3, creating subnets. So within our network plan in place, we are ready to create our VNet and subnet in Azure. In the next section of the video, we will walk you through the step-by-step process of building this network in the Azure portal. Okay, let's jump into our Azure portal. Now, first of all, I'm going to create a resource group. Now, if you check my previous video, I created a resources group for my servers. And this video, I'm going to create a resources group for my virtual network. So you choose the subscription, and after that, choose a name. Make sure you use the best practices. I'm going to use RG resources group, and I'm going to type VNet and corporation. And after that, I'm going to choose the region with US2. Next, I'm going to use the environment name tag, and value I'm going to use VNet. And next, review and create. We use the subscription, resources group name good, region, and we create a text. You can create many texts if you want to, to make life easier. I'm going to hit click and create. You can see it's created. You can see now we have two resources group, for one for server and one for virtual network, which we are going to create now. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our virtual network. And if you're in the first page, you can see Microsoft Azure. You will see in the left side create a resource button, plus sign, create that, click that, and after that you will get a bunch of categories. In here type virtual network and you will see virtual network. Make sure you type virtual network. There's another name called virtual networks at the end, S. Don't use that, use the virtual network. Click that and you will get a prompt like this. In the plan I see on virtual network, so let's stick with that and hit the create button. Now you will get your first page. You will see subscription. Choose your subscription, resources group. I'm already created a resources group for my network, so I'm going to choose RG VNet Corp. That's my resource group. Virtual name. So now you need to come up with a plan to what kind of name you need to create. So my example, I'm going to use my small business VNet. Okay, small yes, my key button, biz VNet. So my small business VNet. I choose USB 2 and that's all, and hit next. And I'm not going to do anything on a security side, but I'm going to cover these options in my later videos, and I'm going to skip that. I'm going to IP address. So these are the most important thing we're going to do for starting, right? Now if you click IP addresses, you will see 10.0.0.0 and /16 65,536 addresses. As you can see, my IP range for small business single VNet with /16 address, right, is sufficient. 65,536 possible IP addresses. So I'm going to keep as default. If you don't see that, just make sure you create that. Create this IP address, and you can see everything looks good. And after that, I'm going to hit next. You can put tags here. I'm going to use VNet, and I'm going to use VNet. Environment name is environment, value is VNet. So you can use virtual network. So I'm going to use only the virtual network in here, resource. And after that, go next. And before you hit this create button, just go through the list and see if you didn't change, if you want to change something. Now subscription, we use our subscription name. Resources group, we choose the resources group and we create a name, and we choose the region. And security, we didn't check anything, but these options we're going to use for upcoming videos. But for get going to create a virtual network, we don't need this. So, and we get the IP address space 10.0.0.0/16. that means 65,536 addresses, and the subnets /24. okay, and tags, I put another tag. So that's everything looks good, and hit the create button. You can see it takes few minutes or few seconds. Okay, your deployment is complete. So everything looks good. I create the network. Let's go and Now I already created the virtual network. Now if you want to go back and see, you will see virtual networks in here. So now it's under virtual networks. If you go here and search for the virtual network, you can't see it because you already create one. And if you go to virtual networks, if you count the virtual networks in here, you always can search from here. And if you go to virtual networks, you will see the VNet you created. Now I want to show you something else. If you got all resources, or if you in here, you will see another strange name here because I didn't create this. Now you can see in here network watcher west us 2. So the network watcher is a regional service in Azure. This means a network watcher resources is automatically created in each region where you have virtual networks. Since we created my small business VNet in the west us 2 region, Azure automatically provision network watcher west us 2 in that region to monitor and manage network activities. So generally you don't need to interact directly with the network watcher west us 2. It works behind the scene to monitor and diagnose your network. However, you can leverage the network watcher tool within the Azure portal to gain valuable insight into your network traffic, troubleshoot issues, and optimize performance. So I'm not going to go with this, but you can poke around and see after we do some more networks. And in my future videos, I'm going to cover all this part, how to monitor and what we need to do and those kind of stuff. Okay, now let's click this the virtual network we created, because now we need to create subnets. If you go back to our plan, we create our main network VNet. Now we need to determine our subnets. So we're going to create each subnets, subnet 1, 2, and 3, right? Let's go back again, and in here under settings, go to subnets. Okay, now under here we going to create the subnets only. So we're going to click edit, and you can top left, edit subnet. Now subnet purpose, there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to cover what these are, but I'm going to cover these in my next videos. For now, let's get started, right? We need the VNet and subnet. So we're going to choose default and the name. Now name is, I'm going to use backend. I'm going to copy this. So this will be our backend subnet. Name backend subnet. And I'm going to choose, we cannot change anything, but I'm going to keep this one, and the IP range. So what's the IP range actually? Let me copy this. That's why we need to have a diagram, so you know what to do. /24 /24 256. So 10.0.1.0 10.0.1.0, this is for our backend subnet. So everything looks good, and I'm not going to check anything. These are all new, and I'm going to cover in the later video. So don't worry, we don't need to do any of this to get things going on. The security stuff, I'm not going to touch anything. We will touch this later. Service endpoints, blah blah, everything good. And I'm going to add. You can see in the top right side, it's creating subnet. We can see the backend subnets created. So you can see available IPs. I'm going to create another one, the front end. Remember, we need to create the subnet 2. So go again, subnet, use the default, don't change anything. I'm going to front end subnet keep that one. I'm going to check the IP range. I'm going to copy only this part, and actually it's automatically came, and /24, right? And I'm not going to check anything of this. I'm going to click add. Serving subnet. Okay, the second subnet is front end we created, and the third one I'm going to create is for DMZ. I'm going to keep default. The name is DMZ subnet, and 10 dot is automatically giving me 10.0.30. That's good. And /24. Even in the left side you can see it's easier to find out. Now everything good. I'm not going to check anything. I'm going to click add. Now it takes some time. Good, great. Now our step is finished. We create 3 subnets: backend subnet, frontend subnet, DMZ subnet. This is all 3 we need to get going everything for our project. Okay, the next video I'm going to do something else. I'm going to show you the third step, what you need to do from the Azure, because we create the server resources group, we create a network resources group, and we create the network. So now we have the network to assign for anything, any resources we're going to create. Now, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to see you on my third video. Please check on my third video. Probably I'm going to create a VM or maybe something else, because I need to show you how to properly configure your Azure subscription from the starting to advanced.